ahead and get started. Thank you everybody for joining us for this session on What's Next, ISSS and the Road to Vanderbilt. My name is Jillian Hopman. I'm an assistant director here in ISSS, and I am joined by my colleague, Andrea Petrick. I'll have her introduce herself before her section. She is also an assistant director in ISSS. So we are going to start by talking about our office. So first, an introduction to our team. We have Julie Wilbers, who's the ISSS director. I already mentioned Andrea, who's joined me on this presentation. Radhika Reddy is our CVIS manager and also a student and scholar advisor. Kelly Mahoney is an international student and scholar advisor. Mengling Hu, who's also on the call, is our newest team member, and she's our international support coordinator. And then we have Peggy Knupp, who's our senior administrative assistant. Our team all have diverse experiences in international education, both in the United States and abroad. And we really bring those experiences and those skills to the work that we do with you all here at Vanderbilt. So at ISSS, we use what we call a portfolio advising model. So this means that all students will have a designated ISSS team member who will be their advisor throughout their time here. You can see in this chart the breakdown of this assigned ISSS advising schedule or advising chart. So you'll see me, Jillian Hopman, I work with all declared undergraduate students in the College of Arts and Science. I also work with our graduate students in the data science program and then our business students in the Owen Graduate School of Management. So you can use this chart if you're uncertain who your assigned advisor is to determine who you should contact with any questions or concerns that you have. So what does ISSS do? So first and foremost, we help you navigate your non-immigrant status. So we provide advising and support for all international students and scholars that are attending Vanderbilt in F or J status. We do this through advising appointments, workshops that we hold both virtually and in person, and a variety of other ways. We want to make sure that we are helping you understand your non-immigrant status and what you need to do to maintain it while you're here. We also advocate for you. So we will work with campus partners to raise awareness throughout the Vanderbilt community of issues important to international students and scholars. And we also do advocacy work on a national level. So we partner with our professional organizations to advocate for international students and scholars across the US. And then we also provide adjustment support. So we offer programming and person-centered advising to help you during your transition to Vanderbilt and throughout your time here. And one of the messages we really want to get across is that we are here for you. We understand that the visa process, which we will talk about quite a bit in this session, can be difficult to navigate, but we're here to support you along the way. Now, we can't always give definite answers to all of your questions, but we are here to assist you however we can. If it's something that we can't provide the answer for, we're going to try to connect you with resources and connect you to the people who can maybe support you in that particular need. Any updates to the fall semester, to F1 or J1 visa status, pre-arrival information, and other important details will be communicated to you. Now, I will plug that you'll want to make sure that you are checking your your Vanderbilt email address, because that is the email address that ISSS will use to send important information to you. Also, if you're in another visa status that already allows you to study, you will be asked to provide documentation to our office. You're more than welcome to join our newsletter and community, even though you won't be required to do the everyday immigration-related reporting with us. We still do want you to feel welcome as part of the international community at Vanderbilt, join our events, join our newsletter, connect with others in our GroupMe. We want you to feel part of this community that we form here. So what are some other ways that ISSS is here to support you? First is connections to other international students. So we have a Facebook group for newly admitted international students. And then we also have a GroupMe group for current international students and scholars. And once you arrive on campus and complete your check-in, you'll get the details for the GroupMe group to join. And these are both just great ways to connect with other international students and scholars, whether it's to ask basic questions or to connect with others if you want to go explore a certain location in Nashville. It's just another way where we just have a place where students and scholars can connect with each other without kind of ISSS staff involved in that. And then we provide programming to help get you connected to the local community. So we have a program called First Friends. This is a program that you can sign up for that will allow you to get connected with a local family in the community. We do a kickoff picnic where you will meet your first friend for the first time, and then you can plan gatherings or outings throughout your time here. So this is just another way to form a connection with somebody perhaps that isn't another student or scholar here at the university. We also have a program called EAT, and this is where we would pair you up with a local family or community member to enjoy a meal. And we host these throughout the year, and we will always send communication and information about signing up to your email. We provide additional programming and social connection. One of our most popular programs is our Thanksgiving dinner that we hold in November. And then we do a winter staycation series right around the winter break time. We have International Education Week in November, and then other social events to explore local destinations that will happen sporadically throughout the year. We also provide employment authorization workshops. We know one of the greatest expressed needs and interests of a lot of incoming and current international students and scholars is information about work authorization. So we provide workshops on curricular practical training and optional practical training for F1 students, and then academic training for J1 students. And I forgot to mention, but if you have any questions during this session, if you want to drop them in the chat, we will get to those at the end. So again, some additional ways that we support you. We host a variety of immigration attorney workshops throughout the year. These are great opportunities to get information and resources on topics that are beyond what the ISSS advisors can advise on. So some examples of those sessions are immigration options after OPT or academic training with an immigration attorney. And can I do that? What is and isn't employment? So these are great opportunities to get resources and advice directly from immigration attorneys that we have partnerships with. Again, some additional workshops that we hold. Can I work? Employment options for F&J students. What is a STEM extension and do I qualify? All the workshops that we record, we have in a section on our website so that you can go back and access those later as well. So it's a great section of resources that you can always refer to get the kind of support that you're looking for. We also have monthly newsletters. So we send a newsletter every month to all international students and scholars where we highlight reminders and updates from our office, as well as events that are being sponsored by ISSS or other university offices or the community. So this is a great way to kind of keep up to date, not only on potential status related updates, but also events and activities that are happening on campus and in the community that you can participate in. We also coordinate with the International Tax Office at Vanderbilt to provide resources related to tax filing. So if you are a student or scholar that will have to file taxes, we do have an office on campus here to support you in that. Student organizations. So there are a myriad of student organizations at Vanderbilt, many of which are internationally focused. You can visit this website, and maybe we can drop it in the chat if Andrea or Mungling are able to do that. You can visit AnchorLink to search for an organization. And let's say you have an idea for a student organization and you don't see that one exists, you can also start your own. Two of the student organizations that we like to highlight are the Multicultural Leadership Council, or the MLC. This is a steering committee to over 30 organizations. They address needs of the culture minority students and those from historically marginalized communities, as well as work to educate the campus on issues of diversity and cultural awareness. So this is a great organization. They host some great events throughout the year. There's also the International Student Council, also referred to as ISC. And this is a student organization that unites international students on campus. They create programming to promote cultural diversity to the Vanderbilt community and also the Nashville community. So now that you've heard a little bit about who our office is and what we do, we want to go over the process for new international students. And this is probably what many of you are anxious to learn about and maybe have some questions about. So this is a general overview of the process. Now we're going to go over some of this in more detail. And again, if you have any questions throughout, feel free to drop them in the chat, or we can answer those live at the end. So your first step is going to be officially to accept your admission to the university. You'll then get information about claiming and activating your VUNet ID. Now, this is really important because you're going to need that VUNet ID to access a variety of university resources and websites, including the ISSS portal. You then want to, again, make sure, like I mentioned before, that you're checking your Vanderbilt email address for the welcome email that our office will send with instructions for applying for your I-20 or your DS 2019. You will then follow those instructions and submit your I-20 or DS 2019 request in the ISSS portal, and your assigned advisor is going to go ahead and issue that document for you. So whether that's an I-20 or a DS 2019, that form is going to be issued electronically to you in the ISSS portal. You'll then download, print, and sign that form and use that for your visa interview and your eventual travel to the US. Now I'm going to hand it over to Andrea to go over this next section.
Thank you, Jillian. Hello, everyone. My name is Andrea Petrick. I'm an assistant director in ISSS, and I'm just going to go into a little bit more detail about visas, I-20s, DS 2019s, and the next steps after you accept your admission. So Jillian talked about the I-20 or DS 2019. So this is a document that ISSS will issue you. An I-20 is associated with an F1 student visa, and a DS 2019 is associated with a J1 exchange visitor visa. Now, both of these are issued for students. If you are a degree-seeking student at Vanderbilt, you are certainly eligible for an F1 visa. You may or may not be eligible for a J1, and depending on your situation, one might be better than the other. So, like I said, both of these are student, or they have options for student categories. Both have options for employment, typically in situations that are directly connected to your academic program. The J category, however, is restricted to students who are receiving a substantial portion of funding from non-personal or family funds. So common examples of a student who might come on a J1 visa would include a PhD student who is receiving full funding from Vanderbilt University, or a student who is receiving a scholarship from their home country government. So not everyone's going to be eligible for a J1 visa. And even if you are technically eligible, it may or may not make sense depending on your situation. J's can be beneficial if you're going to come with a spouse, because spouses do have the option to apply for work authorization. But again, it's going to depend on your unique situation. If you have questions about if you're eligible for one or the other, or what makes more sense for your situation, you can always feel free to schedule an appointment with your ISSS advisor to kind of talk through those options. Now, in either case, you'll need to make sure that you're checking your Vanderbilt email, like Jillian said. You'll get an email from our office with instructions on how to request your I-20 or DS 2019. And you'll use your VUNet ID to access the link in that email. And this will take you to our ISSS portal, which is where you'll make all sorts of requests to our office, your initial I-20 or DS 2019 request, but then also once you're here, you'll use it to make other requests as well. So for the I-20 or DS 2019 request, you will be required to upload copies of several documents, including your admission letter, financial support documents that show that you can cover your expenses for at least a year of study. You'll have to provide a copy of your passport. And if you are currently in F or J status and you will be transferring your record to Vanderbilt, we require some additional documentation as well. Our processing time for a DS 2019 or an I-20 is 5 to 7 business days once we receive a complete application. Now, once your document has been issued, it will be issued electronically. You will receive an email notification and you will be able to log into your ISSS portal and access a PDF of your I-20 or DS 2019. The first thing you should do is take a good look at that document. You want to make sure that all of the information is correct. If you see a typo or another error, or you have any questions about it, please contact your ISSS advisor immediately. And then you will need to print and sign the document. Although we can issue them electronically, you still have to take a physical copy of it to the embassy for your interview, and then you'll use that physical copy to enter the US as well. So download the electronic copy, print it, sign it, and use that for the next steps. Now, if you are already in F1 or J1 status, maybe you're currently attending another institution in the US, maybe you're on OPT or academic training, you'll complete the same I-20 or DS 2019 request, but you'll also need to communicate with your current institution, the one that holds your CVIS record, and request that they transfer your CVIS record to Vanderbilt. So you will need to communicate with them and follow their procedures for transferring your CVIS record over. So you can contact the international office for guidance on that. The international office at your current school, more specifically. And generally what happens is you'll need to keep your CVIS record at your current institution while you're completing your academic program and or your OPT, your academic training. And then at the conclusion of that, your school will release your CVIS record to Vanderbilt. After you've submitted that I-20 and DS 2019 request and we've received your CVIS record, our office can then issue your new I-20 or DS 2019. If you are transferring your CVIS record, then you keep that same CVIS ID, so you don't have to pay that CVIS fee again. If you're already in the US, you're not required to leave and make a special trip to apply for a new visa. So it saves you a little bit of time. Now, if you are getting a brand new I-20 or DS 2019, new CVIS ID, so this will apply to most students, you will have to pay a CVIS fee and then proceed with applying for your visa. So your I-20 or DS 2019 has some important information that you'll need to complete the next steps. You'll use the CVIS ID and the school CVIS code on your document to pay a CVIS fee. This is a fee that goes to the US government, and then you'll then schedule your visa interview. Make sure that you do pay your CVIS fee before you go to your interview. You need to have a copy of the receipt from that fee at your interview. And then you'll typically schedule your visa interview through the US consulate or embassy in your home country. Since F and J visas are non-immigrant visas, part of the criteria is tied to your home country. So for that reason, it's always safest to apply for your visa in your home country. Applying in a third country can have some additional risks. If you are considering that, you might want to have an appointment with your ISSS advisor to kind of go over the situation. Do keep our office updated about your situation. If you face any delays or issues, let us know and also let your academic program know. Our office does not have any influence over the outcome, and we can't like expedite the process or anything like that. But if you are encountering delays or issues, do let us know. If you're unable to join in the fall, or your arrival is going to be delayed because of visa delays, we can work with you to, update your documents so that maybe you have to defer your admission to another term or another year. So we can work with you on that end. And then, of course, we do want to, just know if you're having any kind of difficulties as well. We also have some general information about applying for a non-immigrant visa that we will make available to you once you have been issued your I-20 and DS 2019. We can't answer like very specific questions like, well, what should I say during my interview, or what's the interview going to be like? But we can provide some very general information about the process. Now, some of you may be coming with dependents. So this would be a spouse or an unmarried child under the age of 21. Your dependents are eligible for their own I-20 or DS 2019 and then visa. If this is the case, you will probably have to provide additional funding because that extra cost will have to be factored in. And then this kind of goes back to the differences between Fs and Js, but if you are coming with a spouse and you're eligible for a J visa, J2 dependents can work and they can study full-time as well. So they have a lot of flexibility. F2 spouses, however, are kind of limited in what they can do. They cannot apply for work authorization. They can study part-time, but not full-time. So just some things to consider. However, regardless of their visa status, there are resources on campus to help support them. All of the programming and resources in our office are also open to your dependents as well. In fact, most of our programming is family friendly, so you can bring your spouse and your kids to them. Also, some campus offices have resources for spouses and partners. One example.
Andrea, I think we lost your sound. No.
It's so weird.
Oh, now I can hear you.
Oh, okay. What was the last thing you could hear?
Oh, sorry. The resources. The last I could hear.
Okay. So yeah, you'll have your dependents will have access to different resources on campus, regardless of if they're in an F or a J category. So this would include any programming through our office, as well as some on-campus resources like we have a women's center on campus that has a parenting group. There's an English language center that has a conversational English group for spouses and partners of Vanderbilt students. So many opportunities for your dependents. Now, after you receive your I-20 or DS 2019, we will send you an email with a link to a pre-arrival module also in the ISSS portal. And this will give you some additional information on some of those next steps, like paying your CVIS fee, applying for your visa. There's also some information about health insurance, completing your CVIS check-in, and also some general information about housing. So it's really important to read through that. And of course, once you've read through it, if you have any further questions, you can contact your ISSS advisor. In addition to that, over the summer, our office will host a series of pre-arrival sessions on Zoom. And these are sessions that will be about 45 minutes to an hour in length on a variety of different topics that are aimed at helping you have a smooth transition to Vanderbilt and to Nashville. We're still in the process of building our schedule for this year, but you can expect sessions focused on like academic success strategies, There will be a session on using your health insurance at the university. We'll have a session on getting a driver's license and navigating transportation in Nashville. So just a different variety of topics to help you as you transition. You will be receiving an email with all of that information. Additionally, before the start of classes, you will be required to attend an orientation with the ISSS office. This will be a session that's focused on your F and J status. It will cover important information about maintaining your status so that you can remain in the US and complete your program successfully. And of course, we'll talk about things like employment options within your visa. So it's really, really important to go. It's also an opportunity to meet other international students who are going to be starting at the same time. So it is important to go. This year, we are offering it 3 times over the summer in July and August. You have to pick one, but you can pick the session that works best for your schedule. So we're offering it on July 12th, August 8th, and August 14th. You only have to choose one of those dates, but you do have to go to one. And of course, more information will be coming on that. Additionally, once you arrive, you will complete what's called a check-in with ISSS. Check-in is kind of a misnomer because it's a virtual process. You don't physically come to ISSS to do this, but this is a requirement from the US government. You basically have to submit certain documents to our office, and then we review them and we confirm to the US Department of Homeland Security that you have arrived and have reported to Vanderbilt to begin your program. You must complete this process before you can begin any on-campus employment, before you can apply for a social security number or get a driver's license. So this is something that you'll want to do as soon as you arrive in the US. All right, so before we open it up to questions, these are all of the emails of our advising staff in ISSS. So if you have any follow-up questions, feel free to reach out to your assigned advisor. You can either contact them by email, or you can also schedule an appointment with your advisor on our scheduling page. You do not have to be a current student to schedule an appointment. You can just book a session if you have questions about the I-20 process, or you want to try to figure out if it makes sense to come in an F category or a J category. So anything like that, we are all eager to meet you and to help you along the way. So at this time, we'll just open it up to any questions that you have.
I wanted to answer one of the questions. I answered this in the chat, but I thought it was a really great question regarding financial support. The question was, is financial support documentation also required for PhD students? So PhD students are often fully funded. So when you submit your I-20 request, everybody still has to provide proof of financial support, but your admission letter that lists your funding breakdown can also serve as your proof of financial support. That goes for master's students or professional students that are receiving some form of scholarship money from the university. That can be included as part of your financial support. So whether you got that through a separate letter or in your admission letter, that is factored into that total cost for which you would have to show funding. And then there was another question. A PhD student paid the deposit, fully accepted admission, activated Vanderbilt ID and email, but haven't gotten the email from ISSS. So the process has not officially started. You should be getting the email by early next week. So you didn't miss anything. The email is still forthcoming, but you should be receiving that soon. And then Andrea, I'm going to read another question if you want to go ahead and answer.
Sure.
Says I have an unexpired, so still valid F1 visa from my master's degree 2 years ago. Do I need to get a new visa for my PhD degree at Peabody? If so, do I need to leave the country to receive it? I'm currently in the US.
Yeah, that's a great question. If you already have an F1 visa that's still valid, you can still, if you're transferring your CVIS record, you just need to do the transfer and you can use the same unexpired visa. So the only situation where you would need to apply for a new visa is if you're outside of the US and your most recent F visa has expired. In that case, you will need to apply for the new visa.
And those were the only questions dropped in the chat box. But if anybody has questions they would like to ask live, you're welcome to unmute yourself or continue to type in the chat box. We're happy to answer those for you.
Question about the slides after the event. We're happy to share the slides. Walt, should I just send the slides to you or will you be sharing the rest?
Yes, thank you. And we will email the slides out to everyone who registered for this event.
So there's a question about the 2-year requirement for current J students. Does that get in the way of an F1 application? So that's a great question. So some J visa holders are subject to a 2-year home country residency requirement. So if you're subject to that, that does prevent you from applying for certain visa categories. However, it does not impact your ability to apply for an F1 visa. So if you are on a J or you have a J visa now and you want to come in F1 status, if you're subject to that 2-year requirement, it should not prevent you from applying for an F1 visa.
Question, well, this may be for you. Is it mandatory to get foreign transcripts evaluated? Who would best be able to answer that question?
Well, I don't know if you're able to chime in on that question.
Sure. I would say that any foreign credentials will undergo scrutiny at the department level and then again at the university registrar's level if you're admitted. So it would be wise to have those credentials evaluated on the front end just to expedite your process. And it helps the people in the department who are making the evaluations of your application and your credentials. It helps them have clarity, and you want to put your best foot forward. So it's highly recommended.
Any other questions?
Well, if there are no other questions for our colleagues in ISSS, I want to thank you all for joining us. And I've also dropped in the chat a contact email for graduate school admissions, graduatesschooladmissions@vanderbilt.edu. Please feel free to contact us for any questions you may have, and we'll be happy to get you an answer. And again, congratulations to all on your admission to Vanderbilt from a very competitive pool. We hope that this very informative presentation has been helpful and will give you more tools to help you as you decide where to have your graduate education. And we hope that you choose Vanderbilt. Thanks again to our ISSS colleagues as well.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Have a great day, everybody.
A good day.